flag serves as a constant reminder to all of us, that we live in a country where our freedom has been clearly purchased by blood, sweat, tears, and the ultimate sacrifice. We must not forsake that those in the service to this flag and their families have fortified. At this time, will all veterans of the armed forces please stand and be recognized? Please be seated. The American flag flies free to the winds. The American flag flies above residential porches, campsites, small businesses, corporate offices, hospitals, schools, military and naval bases, government buildings, and non-profit organizations. The American flag is the most displayed and recognized banner in the world. The American flag represents freedom throughout the world. I think that all of you would agree with me that when you see the American flag, you see freedom. To all who shall see this presented greetings, you know ye that these flags have served well and honorable. Its stars and stripes have been loosed to the winds of freedom and have basked in the light of liberty. Ladies and gentlemen, this ceremony will be dedicated to Major Brian M. Mescal, 33. Major Mescal was one of the 3 soldiers killed in Yaldak, Afghanistan, in the Zabul province in the southern part of the country from an improvised explosive device. They were assigned to 1st Battalion, 4th Infantry Regiment, Hohenfels, Germany. Mescal had served 2 tours of duty in Iraq, one as a tank commander, one as a transition team chief. In 2003, inspecting a Humvee destroyed by a rocket-propelled grenade in Baghdad that killed 3 soldiers, he called it one of those things that you fear in a way that you will lose your edge. It's a wake-up call. Please remember his family in your prayers. I would now like to introduce Senator Tom Garrett.
Thank you, guys. It's an honor for me to be able to claim to be in the same brother and sisterhood as the men and women who are before you who've served this country so honorably. I want to speak to you briefly about what Veterans Day means to me. And in so doing, you might get a math lesson. 1 in 26. 1 in 26 are the odds of being born on the planet Earth a citizen of the United States of America. That means for every one of you who's here, there are 26 young people your age somewhere else in the world who didn't have the opportunity to be born here. And I saw a bumper sticker one time that said, if you can read this, thank a teacher. Well, if you're allowed to read it, thank a veteran. If you're allowed to be one of that fortunate 1 in 26 who's born in this nation, then it's important on this day to recognize the sacrifices of those who come before us to allow us to do so. So I know this is probably a little bit basal given the fact that I'm at Trevilian's Elementary School today, but let me break this down for you guys. During the American Civil War, probably, if you count non-combat and combat-related deaths, about 700 people died for every student here today. And that was so that we could fully inherit the promises made by our founders almost 238 years ago. If you combine all the wars that the United States has fought in its history, a war for independence, a war to end the aberration of slavery, a war to free Europe and free oppressed peoples who were oppressed based on only their beliefs, probably about 3,000 people in American military uniforms have laid down their lives for every single student here today. And so when I think about my service, I think about people like Jason Fry, next to whom I sat at Fort Sill in the Officer Basic Course, who, while leading an artillery platoon into Iraq during the Second Iraq War, had his right arm severed at the elbow by an RPG that failed to explode, and then who placed a tourniquet on his own right arm using the radio cord from the hand mic, as you in the military know what that is, and led his artillery battery in a direct fire firefight for 23 hours. Think about Theodis Brown, with whom I served in Bosnia, who had a 2-week-old daughter when he died in the service of his nation. And I think about those thousands and thousands of men and women who have given so much for our opportunity to be able to be free. So I would ask, before we conclude the ceremony with the retirement of the colors, students, if you all would one more time, and if it's okay with the teachers, rise and give a hearty thank you to the men and women who've served this nation to allow us the freedom that we enjoy today. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. At this time, we are going to ask all veterans to file by, take a piece of the American flag, and place it on the burner. While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so far as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as Cadet Command Sergeant Major Austin Phelps retrieves our nation's colors.
Right shoulder, arms, forward, march.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending. As you depart today, please remember our service members that have and are currently